Welcome to a special interview edition of Kung Fu Conversations. I can also categorize this in the warriorship conversing categories. It's just your friendly Kung Fu bus driver from Boulder here today, Randel Davis, half of the Kung Fu Conversations podcast. And I am joined by my friends Kyle Machado and Eric Allen out of the great country to the north known as Canada. Collectively, these two gentlemen are known as the Budo Brothers. Gentlemen, welcome today. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks for having us.
Good so to be excited here. To be here.
Yeah. So just in case, I have a variety of listeners, all ages, and, Kung Fu folks, we really kind of pigeonhole things. Like if we have a style, like we only do that style, we only do it this way. So people on the show might not know who the Budo Brothers are, what the company is, what you do. Would you guys please introduce Budo Brothers, what it is and how it started?
Definitely. Well, we got started about 8 years ago. We were both down on our luck. We both came off failed businesses, and we've been lifetime entrepreneurs and have learned a lot of lessons along the way by cratering businesses and things not working out. And every time you do that, you learn something that you take to the next adventure. And both Kyle and I wanted to learn e-commerce. We said, this is just always a skill set as an entrepreneur that I would love to have. And likewise, same with him. And so we didn't have any money because we were both broke at the time, and we were still training, and we both loved martial arts. And we said, well, why don't we do something we love? Let's do e-commerce and martial arts and see where it takes us.
Yeah, and because we both had failed ventures, we only had $1,000 each to invest into the company. And at the time, I just finished training, I believe it was Muay Thai, and Eric was training at a ninjutsu place. And he's like, oh, come check out this ninjutsu stuff. So this is where we started training and getting to know each other and finding out, we've been friends for a long time, but this is where we first got to train together in martial arts. And the sensei in that class, Sensei Jay Creasy, was very pivotal in educating us on not only martial arts, but mindset. We were two young men in class, and he really got us in tune with internal martial arts also. And at the same time, we wanted to be these young guys and start this business. So we said, hey, with $2,000, $1,000 each, can we make a go and do something we love and see if e-commerce would work? So I had this idea, maybe we could do these amazing martial arts gis out of cashmere or really nice material. But with $2,000, that's not an attainable goal. So we had to start off by selling our first product, which is a hanbo, a half staff. And with that, we had to get super creative. We had to think of the marketing. We had to get the cameras together. We had to learn how to do everything ourselves and figure out this e-commerce thing. And at the beginning, could you imagine, we went with a business plan of saying, hey, we want to sell sticks on the internet. People were like, what are you guys doing? How is this going to work?
Totally. And that disadvantage of not having a lot of capital at the time actually turned into the biggest advantage possible, because it required us to put on our white belts and learn absolutely everything. So we had to learn how to make videos. We had to learn how to do social media marketing, learn how to build a website, do all the incorporation stuff, and just figure out as we go all the different missing pieces to grow this. And that was really where we understood early on that there's something here. And I don't know if it's just because we're too stupid to try something like this, but there was no one looking at this space and wrapping a martial art lifestyle around it.
In fact, we got laughed at a lot. We would show this idea to people and tell them oh, what are you guys going to do? Sell sticks? So you're just going to slide into people's DMs with stick pics? What the heck are you guys, what the heck are you guys doing? So
the stick pic line is great. I love that. That's allusions to other things. I love it.
But, we really treated it like it was something special. And when we dropped a product, we made it like it was an Apple launch. We put all our love and attention into it. And we found that if you put your love, attention, and passion into things, the world resonates and replies back. And so our love for martial arts and our love for entrepreneurship and also our love for hanging out with each other and doing stuff was put into these products, and we were able to share them and grow a business around it. And today, coming from two guys with $2,000, we have almost, well, I would say it's a global brand. We have a very big reach across social media. And when we travel, people know what our logo represents. And our logo represents is a community of martial artists who are passionate of self-discovery and self-development through the vehicle of martial arts. And that's what we do. We go around spreading that, and we tie in cool, amazing products, and we hope that we can inspire way more people to begin the journey in martial arts.
You know, one of my favorite tools that I train with, and I'm going to probably butcher the name, is one of your hambos of the Ipe. Is it Ipe?
Ipe, nice.
Yeah. So, and then, you know, something that I use every Sunday is my beautiful agar wood.
Nice. Hey, I got one on too, but it smells
got
so
the
good,
malas
doesn't
on.
it?
Yeah. They're amazing. They're amazing. And what I think, you know, give you guys a little kudos. I think something that you've done that I really think is unique in the world of the product side of development as far as the tangible ones, because you guys offer other products that we're going to get to here in just a moment, is it's almost the warriorship conversing thing, if you will. You've taken something that is ancient, traditional, classical, if you will, and you've put a little modern urban shine on it. And I think it is two cultures coming together, and it's in a respectful, tasteful way. And it's something that catches the eye. I mean, I think that is unique in something that you guys do. I mean, the hoodie geese, you know, what are you guys into? Your second or third iteration of the hoodie gi?
We're working on our third at the moment. We're currently selling the second gen. We're continually innovating. And that's really the essence of Budo Brothers, is creating something that has never existed before. And with our essence, combining our love for everything that we do, we get into this place of pure creativity where whatever we're dreaming up starts to come to life. And it almost like it takes on a life of its own, because we're, oh, what if we did this? And, oh, imagine this. And we're like kids when you're imagining, you know, play fighting, where it's almost like it's really happening because your imagination hasn't been destroyed by adulthood yet.
Yes.
So we're still two kids just having fun making ninja weapons for a living.
And I know your listeners, probably come from a lot of different martial arts backgrounds. Budo is a Japanese term and loosely translate to the warrior's way or the way of the warrior, walking the path of a warrior. But we don't only focus on Japanese martial arts. It's a big inspiration into us. It's where within a Japanese martial art is where our journey started. But we go and travel the world and meet a lot of different type of martial arts, and you have the ability to film with them. Wing Chun, Krav Maga, self-defense stuff,
Filipino
martial arts, Okinawa karate. We had a lot of opportunities to meet some of the best and most diverse set of practitioners on the planet.
So one of your other things that you offer is training from these amazing world-class instructors. What decided to make you go into that avenue and path?
We love learning. And that's one thing that we'll never stop doing, is always learning, whether it's entrepreneurship, martial arts, business, mindset. It's a constant journey. And during the progression of us filming martial arts content and putting it online and then watching the results and listening to the feedback and seeing what's working, what's not, and what do people want to see. And when we actually had a video, our first video that ever broke 1 million views was Tuhan Apollo Ladra. And when we released, it was not a well-shot video. It was poor. We literally caught Tuhan Apollo Ladra in a hallway at the Martial Arts Super Show, and we were nobodies back. We were still getting started at the time, and so he basically stopped them in the hall and said, "Hey, Tuhan Apollo Ladra, can we film a skill?" And he's like, "Yeah, sure, right now, let's go. What do you want to film?" I'm like, I don't know, do something. And so I bust out the camera and I film it. It ends up being one of our best videos. It went viral. We're like, oh man. And then we kept seeing in the comments like, oh, you guys should really do like courses of this. I would love to learn this, but where's your school? I'm in Colorado. Oh, you're in California. So much of that. So much of, oh, I wish you were in my town. Hey, where's your school? I would love to learn from you, but I'm 2,000 miles away. Whatever the story was, we're like, man, there's got to be a way that we can be the conduit to capture this wisdom and knowledge and put it in a digestible form online, which is literally the next best thing to learning from an instructor one-on-one is a Budo Brothers digital seminar.
And that was the market signal piece of it. The other piece of it was we were starting to make advancements in our business. And then we wanted to bring out this product, Cardi. It was like a reversible cardigan. And we tested this thing out. It looked amazing. We flew to Vietnam. We found manufacturers. We did the whole works. They sent us the samples. We're like, okay, let's double down on this thing. It is going to be absolutely amazing. This product is going to fly off the shelves. So we order it. And at the time, it's the biggest order we've ever made. We invest all our money into it. And then the product comes back, we package it up, and we start selling it. We get a notification, ba-ding. Hey, I hope you guys know this step, but when you wash this garment, the colors run on each other, and it turns pink.
No.
And so the manufacturers in Vietnam bait and switched us. They sent the sample over, everything was good, and then they changed something.
No.
And the result was pink garments. So we had to recall everything. And business is hard enough as it is. Now we had a business with no cash and no opportunity. And we're like, what can we do from here? And luckily that literally like that week, that maybe even the same day that we were like in a tiff about it, we get a message from Sifu Singh. He's like, hey, saw some of your guys' videos on the internet. You guys are pretty cool. Like, we should do something. We're like, hey, do you want to try to film martial arts videos and sell them online? And then we figured out just through that phone call how we could help our business survive through selling online martial arts content.
Amazing. Amazing. And you guys have a huge library from world-class instructors and teachers. And what do you guys offer in that side of things, gentlemen?
Well, we try to do at least one new digital seminar per year, sometimes two, depends on how much other things we have in the air. But right now we've got 8 different courses, everything from Jeet Kune Do and Kali, Filipino martial arts.
Jiu-jitsu.
We got some jiu-jitsu in there.
Nice.
We got our Tai Kokyu stretching program, which is stretching with 6-foot staff with Sensei Jay Creasy.
Our next one is Kelly Warden.
Yeah, we got Datu Kelly Warden, his system. Oh man, it's a well-rounded library.
But for our listeners, we put 98% of our content out for free because we just love sharing martial arts. Our goal is to get people started with it. So the only way for people to experience it is for us to share these lessons as much as possible. So we are always sharing on our channels the martial arts we discover and always looking for new places and people in order to share their arts.
Absolutely. You know, one thing, this was a compliment I was going to give you guys towards the end of the show, but now, you know, towards the middle of the beginning here, I'm going to give you this compliment. And I really want to emphasize how important this is. One thing that Owen and I really realized, you know, we grew up a couple hicks in the sticks, you know, if you will, Colorado, and there wasn't anything up there. And so not only are you offering these, you know, amazing systems and teachers to anybody, anywhere that has digital access, but something that we try to do on our own podcast with Kung Fu Conversations is you get to hear the masters in their own voice. You get to hear their passion. You get to hear their love. You get to hear their stories. Something that I think is unique that you guys specifically are doing with these amazing martial artists from all over the world is not only you capturing their story, but you guys are making a digital historical record on how these systems should be taught by high level instructors. You know, I was talking to a great buddy of mine yesterday and I'm like, could you imagine if Jigaro Kano came up and now in a time machine and saw judo, how would he feel about it? I don't know. Maybe he'd love it. Maybe he would be so disappointed. And, I think about, if Lee Sun Yi, came from the Boxer Rebellion to modern day and saw Xing Yi, and he's like, you guys are missing like 3 or 4, huge missing pieces. You guys are keeping the history of how these methods, these classical systems should be held together. And I think that's amazing. So kudos for you guys for doing that. Not only sharing martial arts to the world, but keeping these historical records, if you will, of these great masters in these systems.
Thank you so much. That's a really beautiful compliment, and it rings true to us as being such a beautiful time to be alive in this period of transition. We really see an opportunity to work with these incredible martial artists that are on the tail end. They're on their way out.
Yes.
And some of them, if we don't document it in this today's day and age of technology, it's going to be lost. And it'll be in some journal somewhere that is going to be in a box collecting dust. And so this is where we see a big opportunity to be a capsule of wisdom, of knowledge, of systems, of schools, of lineages. And we've got a lot of gas left in the tank, and we view it as an exciting opportunity to capture as much as we can, to preserve as much as we can, and share as much as we can as well.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So let's go. I don't know. Well, you guys probably know this, but I don't know if our audience does, but you guys wrote an amazing book called Joy-Jitsu, The Art of Living a Joyful Life. And you know what's crazy is when you guys were talking about how Budo Brothers started, I could literally hear the book being written when you guys were talking about the ups and downs and the struggles that you had in your journey to create this business. But now you're here. And I really believe that this book, maybe not directly, but maybe indirectly details how you guys hit a brick wall and said, okay, well, either we chip away at it or we go over it, or maybe we can go under it, or maybe we can go around it. The creative process that you guys have to have something, so many obstacles in your way and persevere. I think it is told beautifully in your process here in Joy-Jitsu. So what inspired you guys to write the book? And by the way, your co-author, David Bodarina, amazing guy. I want to talk about him in just a minute, but tell us about the book. What inspired it, gentlemen?
So we realized that we have created something special. I'll give you the backstory to where Budo Brothers actually was created. So Eric and I, around university age, were going to go on a trip to Montreal.
Boys trip.
And we had a mutual friend, and through him, we decided to go on this trip. And at the last minute, he backed out. Eric and I didn't really know each other. We knew of each other. We knew we were like cool guys. Yeah, he's a cool dude. But we didn't know each other. But this guy pulled out. We're like, you know what? Let's go to Montreal anyway and have a good time. So we go out there, and just organically, without even thinking about it, by the end of the trip, we had filmed all of our experiences and restaurants and all that stuff. And we made this amazing travel video without even talking, and we just had the best time.
That's awesome.
Flash forward to today, we're still traveling, making videos, going around and having a good time. For whatever reason, we were able to find a passion, something we're passionate about, and to do something that we enjoy on a daily basis. And we know that's not something that everybody has access to. Not everybody has the ability to do what they like and to go to work and it fulfill them. They have to pay the bills. They got the real life stuff. So we wanted to talk about the process of us and how we found joy and passion in what we do and in life. And we wanted to spread that with as many people as possible. So we created a book called Joy-Jitsu, which I'm the Grandmaster.
The Grandmaster of it. It's still not settled.
Hey, get you guys some coral belts. Get you guys some coral belts. We'll settle this.
Yeah.
We wanted to create a book in order to help spread joy to people. But the funny thing about being joyful, you can't really start with just, hey, I'm happy all the time. It actually comes from going through hardship and going through some dark times and really finding yourself. And from the book, you can even see the first chapter is all about perseverance, and it's the biggest chapter.
Yeah, it's really
you guys also go. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
It's a culmination of our life stories told through the lens of a metaphor of kind of being lost in the woods. You know, when when life hits you and you're down, it's like nothing can possibly go right. And it's just one thing after another. And that's really where the book starts. And we've all been there. This is part of the human experience. But through perseverance and actually finding a way to be grateful for these things, knowing that it's going to serve you down the road, short circuits the downward spiral and starts you on a trajectory on the way out. Now, when you get there, all you've done is unlocked new problems and new challenges. It's never going to stop. And that's what people might not realize, is that that's the way life is. And so we are blessed to be confronted by challenging circumstances that we may not want, but they are there to make us grow, because growth is the only way through. You're either growing or you're shrinking.
And we're only two legs of a tripod of this book, because the third piece is David. And David Batterina was a gentleman we met way back at the beginning of our journey, and he helped start our podcast, which we've kind of put on hold because we do so much content we can't handle another piece of content. So we're glad that you have your podcast that we could be on. Yeah. He helped us start our podcast way back then, and we were a guest on his show, and we just became friends and vibed, and we kept in touch. And he's an amazing writer. He writes fictional books right now. He's fantastic at that. But he decided to step outside of his comfort zone and to write a nonfiction book with us. And he came out here to Calgary, Alberta, where we are, into the mountains. And we went out and we wrote it out in the mountains and just had a good time and vibed out and helped create this.
I will tell you as a reader that David does an amazing job of taking the reader and making them, whoever they are, that fourth person at the campfire with you guys. And, just the imagery of going through the woods, the dark times that you're going through. And I really think you guys do a great job, David's input included, on giving the reader some tools to get through. You guys make amazing clothing, the mala, the hanbos, and those are tools. They're not only beautiful accessories, but they're functional. They're beautiful tools. The teaching that the teachers that you guys present online is not only just great teaching, but that's a functional tool that somebody can integrate either starting off their martial journey or into something that they previously already know. But the same thing with the Jiu-Jitsu. You're giving that reader tools to work through and around these hard problems, or go through this dark forest and start to light that fire, that guiding light. So I think you guys have done a great job. As a matter of fact, I almost thought that you might have drawn some inspiration. I'm not saying, but it really felt like some of it was like that eightfold path that Buddhism talks about a little bit. But I think it's a little bit more modern. It's a little bit more approachable and almost trainable than that. How did you figure out these tools? Was it just life's journey, teachers influencing you, or did you write down, how did we get this business from nothing to something? What were some of the influences on building these tools for the audience?
Well, I think living life, especially if you have a white belt mentality, you are a student. And these challenges often show up. They are the lessons. And then when you learn dealing with it the same way and not getting a different result, changing something, now when I did this, it worked. That then turns into a tool. And so what we did to create this book was really just tell some of the most impactful stories of our lives. And retroactively look at what were the common threads that we deployed to level up from these situations. And we wrote them down. We had tons of different concepts, but we landed on 8 key themes. And those are the 8 key chapters throughout the book. And each one of them, we all have that was where we basically found what it was. There's a common thread in this chapter that we all believe is crucial to living a joyful life. And we agreed, like, this is almost like it's a path. Each chapter is full of tools that you're given to help deal with life's challenges. And throughout the book, you get out of the woods and on to the next exciting adventure.
And martial arts, even though the book is not about martial arts, it's more of a self-development book.
Yes.
But we came into these concepts, these principles, which is global. It exists for everybody. But the way we experienced it and learned about it was through martial arts. Because if you're still a martial arts practitioner and you're past your 20s, and if you're past your 60s, I mean, you've been involved in an art form that is as old as time almost, but you've made it a piece of your life and continued to practice. There has to be some deeper reason as to why you stay involved in it than just learning how to protect yourself or fight somebody.
100%.
And we learned that in the most intimate way by just talking to these masters and these people. And they all had these beautiful ways and lenses at which to look at the world. I'm like, wow, that's amazing. When you reach a certain level of mastery, you pick up these life lessons that are just passed down from generation to generation if you choose to listen to them and you choose to accept to follow them, that make your life rich and full. And that's what we do. And life comes in seasons, right? So, you're born, you're a baby, a season, your youth, your adolescence. And we got out of our young 20-year-old hustling, grinding, like, oh yeah, we're going to be retired by the time we're 30 and boom, 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 boom. Let's drive Ferraris and chicks and blah, blah, like all this, the crazy macho stuff. And we look back at that time and reflected and said, man, if we could go back and share some wisdom, what would we say? What would we do? And so we're so excited for this next season of life, where we're now in the thing we're doing and we're trying to refine our skill set.
Awesome. Beautiful. Beautiful. Is there another book maybe down the road someday for the Budo Brothers, or was this a one-time endeavor? What do you think?
Randel, you get some secret information here.
Woo! I can't believe it. That's why I got you guys on here. Tell you what.
We've been playing around with an idea, and we don't know how we're going to execute it yet. Okay. But we want to create a comic book or series called Tokyo Starchild. And it is a animated version. It's an over-exaggerated image of Eric with a katana. He's got a ray of light gleaming out, fighting darkness with his sword of light. But what we want to do is to take the lessons from our book, yes, but the Tao Te Ching, the Book of Five Rings, the Art of War, all of these amazing martial texts, Bruce Lee's book, and weave them into this comic book and just have a nice thing. We don't know the target demographic yet, but that's something we've really been talking about and is exciting us.
So it's part kind of comic book manga,
yes,
and part. What is this ding dong version of Eric?
and then add the Tao Te Ching in top.
Yes.
Oh yeah. I love it. I love the idea. There was a gentleman. I'll have to send you a link to his stuff. But when I really started getting into classical Chinese philosophy and writings, and Taoism, Buddhism, and other things like that, there was a gentleman out of Taiwan that was a world-class cartoonist. And so he took the Chuang-Tzu and the Tao Te Ching and animated these characters telling this story. And like the old New York, newspaper style. It's comic book strips. So I'll send you guys some ideas, some pictures. some artists that I know, because, you know, sometimes you get a beautiful piece of artwork done, you get that character and you get to look at them. That's where a lot of those stories start to come from, is if you can see that character, then you can start to develop the stories around that character. So I'll send you guys some people that I love in the manga world as well as the cartooning world. And maybe you guys can hook up. Yeah, totally. I got your back. And thanks for the share. So
no problem.
Tell me a little bit before we get moving on down the road here. Is there anything more? By the way, my favorite chapter in the book, are you guys jazz heads at all, or a little bit?
I'm more like blues, but I listen to a little bit of jazz. Yeah,
I love blues too. So I'm a big Miles Davis fan. I loved him from the start to the end in his experimental phase. And there's a section in the book, I'm going to butcher basically what it's about. You gentlemen talk about sometimes people are playing too many notes, and it just, you know, it kind of comes in this cacophony. And you have the analogy of, it's not so much the notes that you're playing, but it's the space in the middle. It's that space in the middle. And I'm going to butcher a quote from Miles Davis, so please bear with me. But the quote goes a little bit something like this. To know, if you play a wrong note, it's only wrong from the next note that you play. So that's what decides if that note was wrong. Is the next step that you take, the next note that you play. That will determine and judge if it was wrong, if it was a failure, or if it was a success and a transition, if you will. So I thought you guys would like that. But
that's a great quote.
Because it's very true. Because
100%.
It's often how we react to what challenges are being presented. And if we react in our old ways and old patterns, and it's a reactionary, it's not a take a breath and respond. Yes. That reacting emotionally and getting angry, that's a wrong note. And now you don't have a song. Mm-hmm. But responding to something with gratitude all of a sudden creates music that you start flowing with. I like that.
100%. Is there anything else that you would like to talk about the book? Because I mean, this is a lovely. I'm not much of a self-help book, but I got to tell you, I don't know if I could classify this as a self-help book. I guess I would call this more of a journey book, and adding on skill sets to your personal life journey. So yeah, was there anything else about Jiu-Jitsu?
Yes. If you did like David's reading, he just released a book. It's called Space Pew Pew, and it's a great read too. It's just a fun book, but like if you do like how he writes, he just released that book. We really enjoyed it. So
I love sci-fi, so I'm going to pick it up. I was super impressed with his writing. And David, keep up the good work and keep hanging out with the Budo Brothers and pushing them forward and inspiring them. So tell us a little bit. You have some amazing stuff. You guys went on a trip of a lifetime. Tell the audience a little bit about your trip did you go to Japan, and where else did you go? Where did you go in Japan? Tell us about that, my friends.
Well, Japan's always been on our list of places to go. I've been there twice. I went there with my sensei, got to do some training there. It was amazing. Exactly what I would have pictured. And I just fell in love with the culture. It's such a rich culture, honor, respect. People taking pride in what they do, no matter what it is. They do it to the best of their ability. If they are sweeping the street, it is the best street sweeper that is so proud of sweeping the street and making it immaculate so that your fellow citizens don't have to walk on dust. And I just feel like we've sort of lost that in our Western world. We expect things, and we've lost the artisan craftsmanship where you can get lost in creating. It's not the product. It's actually the process of creating the product. It's beautiful. And this is why I fell in love with the Japanese culture. And we've always wanted to go. And we've wanted to go specifically to expand our product lines. We wanted to import the best Japanese steel to launch a blade line. We want to look at kimonos. We wanted to go there as a product trip, but not only that, an adventurous one where we get to film amazing martial artists as well.
Yeah, and I had never been to Japan before, so I had no idea what to expect. And it still is like nothing I can explain. It's one of those things where you could try to explain it with words, but it's just completely outside of the realm of what you would expect. And Erica and I, we saved up our pennies and we really put it in, and we did this thing right. So we went, and when we first got there, we made a stop in Tokyo. And Tokyo is a great spot because a lot of the martial artists that we wanted to film were in the Tokyo area, or a short train ride away. You could connect to a lot of people. And we got to, some of the arts we got to film were, some traditional karate. We did Aikido, Kyoto. We got to film with Seki Sensei, and we got to meet a lot of different martial artists. Now, you helped, and a few of our people in the DMs even closely related to you. So if you're listening to this podcast, thank you for helping us making connections with some of these Japanese martial artists. Because in North America, when you reach out to somebody you can message them and direct message them on Instagram or Facebook and say, hey, do you want to do some filming? This is our channel. Yeah, absolutely. No problem. Let's set up a date. It doesn't work like that in Japan.
Right.
You have to be let into the circle. Everything is closed doors, and I don't know you. I don't trust you. Who are you? Like, I don't know if we could work together. And they don't have this need or want to be broadcasted on every social media platform, like in everybody trying to get TikTok famous here. So it was different for us because we're largely a social media brand. So making these connections with never have been there or not really talking to many people, it was hard. But thanks to reaching out to our community, it made it a lot easier, and we were able to track down these amazing martial artists. One of my biggest regrets for Tokyo was not getting to do sumo wrestling. Yeah. The tournament was on there, but one thing we underestimated was how popular it is there. Yes. So we have UFC and boxing and things where they fills up Madison Square Garden and all that in North America. That's what sumo is. So you can't just walk in with your camera and be like, hey, can we film you guys? Like, no, these are their pro athletes. These are the studs. Like, you don't just get to go into their training, their stable and film them.
That's it. That's it.
So it was a learning lesson that way. But if we go back, that's one thing we want to do.
I still want to get this viral shot. I just know it. I'm going to be in the sumo diaper, and an 800-pound dude's just going to throw me out of the ring. And
I also am looking forward to seeing that, my friend. It's going to happen. Believe. I've got a great book that'll teach you processes to get you there in the diaper. So you guys are releasing. How long is it over the course of the year?
It'll be over the course of the year because the editing on these, we're trying to do them very artistic. It's very different than our like rough edits. Like, I don't know if you got to see the full video.
Beautiful.
On Kudo.
Yeah, on Kudo. And hopefully maybe you can put it in the show notes
Sure.
It's a nice video just to show how our Japanese videos went. But it took a long time to put it together in that artistic way.
And we've got terabytes of content. That's the other issue.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Holy Toledo.
Our next video is a almost a podcast style interview with Ando Sensei, Aikido. So that is our next video that we're going to be putting out from Japan. So stay tuned for that.
Can't wait. Is there any trips ahead maybe?
Oh, yeah.
Well, we are hunkering down. We're in a really beautiful growth phase, and almost
it's painful.
Very, very much so.
Yeah.
It's a rebirth. We are, every time we've done this, probably this will be our third. This is, I would say, Budo Brothers 2.0, Budo Brothers 3.0. 3.0.
Yeah.
So we do this every once. This was 3.0. So Budo Brothers 1.0, hey, let's do this little side hustle thing. Let's sell things on the internet, have some fun, and I don't know, see where it goes. Cool. I'm fulfilling orders out of my living room. It is an illegal operation where I have DHL trucks unloading boxes of hoodies, and I have old ladies in my building thinking
that it's a drug dealer. I'm coming in with all black and my Budo Brothers stuff. Like, are you selling drugs here?
No, ma'am. Here's a stick.
Yeah, exactly. And so we got to the point where we started getting some success with these online sales, and I had to call Kyle and be like, Kyle, stop. Like, I can't fulfill these orders. Like, we're going to have mad customers. And so we knew, like, okay, well, this is a problem. We're not set up to meet the demand for these products. We had to tear it. We had to break everything. And then we actually got teamed up with an incredible fulfillment center that helps us manage this incoming volume. So I'm not having to get home from work, quickly get things to the post office and hope that they're not mad that it's 3 days, 4 days later. So our business broke. We had to rebuild it. We had to take the car back into the garage because we blew the engine.
And it was also a big transition from going from side hustle 1.0 to us both working on it full time and being able to support ourselves 2.0 to now 3.0 is putting some proper engine and tooling in it and seeing how far we can rev the engine. So that's the steps, but we're self-financed. So growth is tough and you take a lot of risks when you're putting your capital out to make these products and product cycles. And now you have tariffs and it's always something, but you just got to keep your vision in mind of what it is that you want to accomplish. And we want to share the best martial arts inspired products with the world, and only the best is good enough. And that's the guiding light.
I love it. I agree. Yeah, go ahead, my friend. Go ahead.
But that being said, the trip that we're hoping to do eventually would be next to Peru. And I don't know if there's any Peruvian martial artists that we could tie with that. So if you do know of Peruvian martial artists, we got to start exploring that part of the world, because Peru is where the next product journey will take us.
What's that? Oh, I was going to say there's a small town in Peru somewhere that once a year you can settle your disputes with a fist fight.
That's right.
And I think that would be such
epic,
an interesting thing to talk about with the locals. And I think one of the things that they tout about that they're proud of is after whoever wins or loses, that there's no resentment and no grudges afterwards. And I'm like, that's interesting. So I don't know, for what it's worth, but I do know some folks from Peru. So maybe we'll hook you guys up with those guys too. Continue, my friend.
Amazing.
I'm sorry.
I was just going to ask if you've ever felt or worn Pima cotton from Peru.
No.
Bro,
it is amazing.
It's like wearing butter. It's unreal. Okay. This stuff is so smooth and soft. And you're like, this can't be 100% cotton. It has to have some poly, nylon, something or other that's made from a recycled bottle or whatever the heck it is. This is 100% cotton, organic, beautifully grown, just the fibers in it. I fell in love with it. I'm like, okay, if we're going to come out with this next generation of clothing, only the best is good enough. And Pima cotton is the best cotton I have ever felt. When you wear it, you don't want to take it off. And that is what we want our products to be. The most comfortable, the most functional, the most stylish, something that's so unique that you can only get at budobrothers.com, because we don't wholesale. You're not going to find us on Amazon. We're the antithesis of Amazon. We are going to forever be a perma indie brand. It's going to be us doing this for the rest of our lives. We're not going to be 100-person company. We're going to stay small, stay to our roots, but just dial up the quality, dial up the innovation, dial up the creativity, and see where it takes us.
Amazing. So there is something, and I'm glad we're on this, because by the way, thank you guys. And the audience, I hope they realize how special this is. You guys are so transparent, with the ups and downs that you've gone through, with the good times, with the bad times. You're growing the company again but it's not easy. Growing pains are a real thing. One of the last podcasts, or maybe it was second to last, but I can't quite remember, that you guys did was, since we mentioned the our other brother David, the other Budo brother David, you've got a Budo sister over there. And for people that are starting a business and when they're ready to move to that next phase, because you guys were worried, you're like, we got to pay somebody. We got to pay somebody and we're barely making any money. Who introduced this young lady? And you guys talked so much about, my God, it was the right thing. And she has fixed so many problems that we didn't even know we had. Would you introduce this fourth Budo sister, we're going to call her, and what she does for you guys? Yeah.
So one thing that Eric and I do amazingly is dream, come up with products, go chase your goals, but we lack organizational skills and execution in like a linear, organized manner. We tried to do it. We are not good at it. And I knew Tiff from before. She actually worked with me at a prior business I had. And one day she was having a tough day and reached out on Instagram. She's like, I don't know what I'm doing with my life. I wonder what I could be up to. I'm like, man, this is perfect timing because Eric and I are looking for somebody to help us like grow this business. So I got in contact with her. We met and instantly she was a fit. Now she has come into our business and helped supercharge it because she is exactly the execution we need in order to fulfill things and do things a lot quicker without getting lost in imagination Neverland. And she is really the piece. We hired our boss, and we view her as the boss because she carries things out and makes sure it's organized. And
I love it.
It's actually a really weird thing to do, is to hire somebody that bosses you around. But I think she loves that as well too.
Absolutely. And there's one chapter in Jiu-Jitsu on balance. And that's really what we realized was we are imbalanced. We're very over-indexed in the creativity and chasing shiny objects and discovering by mixing chemicals together randomly entirely new versions for our business. It's beautiful. But in order to execute and grow and stick to a plan, it requires organization. It requires foresight. It requires so many things that we were not naturally good at. And that's where, okay, perfect. If we can provide a bit of a yin to our yang, then we're going to be a little more balanced. And that's exactly what happened. Is she brought a whole bunch of balance to our business, which now with that same level of ferocious creativity, it's matched with beautiful execution and organization. So it's a really beautiful combination.
And you know, there's just a couple key components that you need in a business partner and in anybody within a business. You need to know that you can trust them, like 100% trust. And we can do that with her. You need to know that they're hardworking and like, you don't have to check in like, oh, are you taking another break? Like, what are you doing? Like that never works. And then the other thing is they need to make the environment better and more joyful, and check for all of those things. But for people who are maybe looking at hiring or bringing on somebody to help them, is I would say what the biggest factor is trust. Even in business, trust across the board. You build trust by the products you sell. When a person gets it and they get it in a certain way and it happened on time, everything was up. And if you make a mistake, you fix it. You build trust with that person. You keep them as a customer. So that's one of our bigger core values too, with is trust, building trust and relationship building.
Amazing. Beautiful. Fantastic. Let me ask the big two questions that I had, and I brought you guys on the show. You have worked with amazing, world-class martial artists. You have filmed them. You've trained with them. How has working with so many different instructors and teachers changed your own personal practice? And I hope you both, not only kind of say together stuff, but your own practice and your own versions. Whoever wants to start off on that big question, Go for it, my friend.
I mean, I'm just so honored to be in the position that we are, where we actually do have the opportunity to sit down with some of these masters that have dedicated their lives to this journey, to this art, to this lineage, and the wisdom that they want to share, they want to give, they want to help. And for us to be able to receive and truly understand the meaning of the words and their teachings, and not just martial arts, but spiritually and what it means to be a warrior. My sensei gave me the most beautiful definition of what a true warrior is. A true warrior is a purveyor of peace with the ability to uphold it. Damn, that's it.
That is brilliant.
You're a purveyor of peace with the ability to uphold it. And that rings true to all these different incredible martial artists that we work with, is they're peaceful. The most potentially crazy violence could erupt, and they're the ones that are peaceful inside. You would say it's almost counterintuitive. You're like, oh, they just love violence. No, they love peace. And through the process of martial arts, they've found peace, and they don't have anything to prove, and they want to de-escalate. But if they have to protect their loved ones, themselves, their village, the story is as old as time. And we're just so honored to be in this position where we get to not only learn personally and grow personally, but then take those lessons and share it with the community, because that's what Budo Brothers is all about, is sharing these lessons, sharing this wisdom, and inspiring people to become the best versions of themselves through the path of martial arts.
Beautiful.
Absolutely. And for me, we really get to see the martial arts at a bunch of different levels. We get to see the people who nobody knows about, who train just because they love it. We get to see the athletes who are training to go fight and hopefully someday make a career in the ring. And then we have the people who are doing it for self-defense, and people who have become amazing entrepreneurs within the martial arts space. We get to talk to a lot of different types of people within martial arts. And the more and more people I talk to, the more and more I realize that martial arts is a vehicle for self-discovery. It is
100.
how a large group of people look at life and analyze themselves and go internally. Look how they deal with pressure. Look how they deal with fear. Look how they deal with struggle. Look how they deal with loss. Look how they deal with winning. And they analyze that. Look how they deal with something as simple as like being in jiu-jitsu and knowing when to submit, or when to go hard, or when to conserve your energy, or how to evade a punch isn't by moving sporadically, but relaxing and absorbing. It's all of these things are microcosms to life. And once I started looking at it, I started being able to analyze these masters in more depth, because they are masters for a reason. Their brain works in a specific way in order to take information, distill it down, and give it to people so that they can then digest as well too. And it has shown me that there are particular ways that you need to look and structure things, and how to absorb problems and to look at things in order for them to be passed down and to grow influence with people too. I sometimes wonder myself, like, how many amazing martial arts practitioners, maybe the best in the world, that just never got to share how they do things because they just weren't capable of it, or they didn't know how, and then that art just died, right?
100%.
But for me, I would say some of the biggest influences for me has been Sensei Jay Creasy. He just helped me step into manhood a bit more. Sifu Singh has helped me just, a little bit with more internal reflection. But there's also random things like Burton Richardson, who showed me how I want to conduct a family unit. When he goes and he travels, he brings his family, and they all do. He homeschooled his daughters and just how they were sitting there and all together there's a family, and how he just bought a house in Hawaii. He probably doesn't even know I follow his story like that, but like, it's inspirational to me. And a guy like the president of Century, we were in a talk, and there was this woman who was in there, and all these guys kind of pushed her out of the way. And it's Paul Webb. Paul Webb. He, in the middle of conversation, like a warrior, stopped everything, brought the woman back in so she could feel included in the conversation, and kept going on. But just amazing little things like that, sometimes it's more than words and like the specific skills. It's these deep things that you carry with you for the rest of your life.
I love it. Beautiful. Is there anybody that's on your wish list that you could record? And let's add on to that. Is there a certain style that your guys are super interested in and getting somebody high level and proficient in that you would like to also have maybe in your works?
Good question. There's so many people that we would love to do a digital seminar with that we know would just be so fun to document and film. I can think of a dozen off the top of my head. But, when you look at it and you look at the opportunities for sharing different styles of martial arts, and I look at, what have we not done? What styles have we not really showcased? I can think of capoeira. We've never done
That'd be really fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I think what's interesting is that what people don't really realize is there's so many niche martial artists. There's so many just Professor Hunden, small circle jujitsu. What, dude? Watching that man, he's incredible. It's like every time we get together and film with him, the video goes nuts. Mm-hmm. He's got it. So we would love to do more of that and showcase these really cool, less than mainstream arts that you might not have heard. And obviously, we're always going to celebrate all martial arts, but we look for those cool stories. We look for this is so unique. Let's throw this out there.
Mm-hmm. And I love it. Top three in my mind that I can think of that I really want to do is we want to do China and like go explore some Chinese martial arts. We want to do Brazil because, jiu-jitsu, MMA, capoeira, all that different stuff exists there. And then Thailand, because that fight culture and Muay Thai and just the art of Muay Thai is just so interesting as well too.
And the Philippines.
Oh yeah, of course. And the Philippines, of course.
Well, you guys better get over to Java too, Indonesia. I mean, the Indonesian cultures too.
It's endless. And that's why we got to become a successful business so we can just make these little docuseries of all these places. That's our true dream, is to just make these little docuseries of all these cool adventures and people that we meet in the martial arts space.
It's almost like a bit of Anthony Bourdain's style.
Yes, I love it.
Telling the stories and going and eating the food and interviewing the people and come along for this adventure. And that's what we love doing, and that's what we're really going to dial up in the next few years.
And with our content, you notice that we're starting to get more self-facing content, talking about our product and our business and our brand, just because we need to do that in order to grow the brand a bit more. But when we film martial artists, you notice we try not to put any of our essence or energy into what it is they're saying or doing, unless we're asking them questions.
Or they're uke.
But we try to find out who they are and represent that the best possible on the camera. We try to bring out them onto the camera, because this bridge of these martial artists who are north of 50 don't really have the same experience with social media, filming, all that is required. And it can be very hard for them to come across in the way that they're received in real life on camera. So we really go in and we try to tell their stories and show who they are and tell as much about their life skills and stuff as well too.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Well, I've got the big question, which puts you guys in my warriorship conversing category. And here is the question of warriorship conversing. How can the modern warrior, what are some of the parallels that you see or links through time between the ancient warrior and the modern warrior? And is some of those lessons that, and I think I already know the answer to this one, is some of the things that the ancient warrior they had to go through still relevant to us in our modern times?
Absolutely. That is what Budo is. Bu means warrior. Do means way. It's a path. And usually that path is full of adversity and challenge. But you know what? As a martial artist, you voluntarily step onto the mats, knowing that this might hurt. This is going to be tough. I could be watching Netflix right now, but I'm choosing to walk into the fire. That, if you can cultivate that, and that's what all warriors throughout time, since ancient history, for the love of their country, for the love of their family, for the love of their way of life, they are the protectors. And yes, in doing so, you have to voluntarily put yourself in front of confrontation, in front of adversity, and go charge into the storm. And whether that's on a battlefield 2,000 years ago, or it's just dealing with nearly going bankrupt with a business, you got to march forward. And it takes that courage and it takes that warrior spirit to succeed.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Kyle?
And in my view, I feel like there's a big difference between a fighter and a warrior. A fighter is in physical conflict. They're going to win because they're bigger, tougher, stronger, badder human on the planet. They're going to be that tough guy, or they're going to win the physical altercation. Warriors fight for good or fight for what they believe in. They fight for their community. They fight so that future generations can be abundant and succeed. They are always in service. And warriors are under attack right now it is harder to speak your mind. It is harder to stand up for what you believe in.
Yep.
It's hard to make a go of it right now with if you're in the middle class right now in America and Canada, you're being squeezed.
Yep.
Everybody is pressuring you. And right now, we are in need of people to stand up for what is right, what is good, and what is true within their hearts and in their communities, and to fight for those things, and to go against all of these crazy ideas that are coming after us. So warriorship has always been needed. It has been needed since we've become a civilization. Yes. The look of it has changed. And I think that has a lot to do with technology advancements. Before, you'd go into battle with a katana and swing swords and get into these fights. Now that's next to impossible with how technology is right now. Technology is just too advanced. But the mentality, the lessons, within the books that's passed down, and Chado and all these arts of calligraphy, and how these warriors centered themselves and got themselves into a way that they could go fight for what's right, even if they knew that their life would be the cost in order to fight for what's right. That is needed now. That extreme act of service in the direction of good. And so, there's no difference between warriors. It's just whether or not society needs you is when they show up. And right now, I feel like most people listening to your podcast are probably warriors, and it's time for them to show up.
That spirit is eternal, isn't it? That spirit, that the ancient samurai, that the Plains Indians, that the Maori tribes. It doesn't matter what culture. It's that spirit that is timeless of the warrior, and it's universal. And it has, it is that human essence that continues to go forward. I really believe. Well, gentlemen, that is pretty much everything I wanted to cover. Did you guys have anything? Did you have a question for my ridiculousness? This is your show, but for some reason, just in case you guys had a question for me, I'd be more than happy to answer. And if not, I wanted to leave with this thought. Oh, was there anything you guys wanted to cover about Budo Brothers?
I have a question for you. You are like an encyclopedia of martial arts. How much studying do you do of different practices and arts and definitions and terms? Because you are really well knowledged in a lot of different styles.
So when I first started martial arts, I grew up in Granby, Colorado, which is 15 miles from the western entrance to the Rocky Mountain National Park. And so there was absolutely, positively nothing up there. So I bought books and I read. We would go down to Denver 3 to 4 times a year. We go over a 12,000 foot mountain pass, and then we hit the interstate. And so when I went to Denver, I would buy Inside Kung Fu, the Qigong magazines, things like that. And I just dreamed as a young kid about studying with all these great high level masters. And, it was the age of paperbacks. It was the age of magazines. It was the age of Black Belt magazine. I still have stacks of them. So I read, I tried to find things that were universal. And then I tried to find holes and gaps in people's stories and things like that. And I started Wing Chun in 1998 at Mesa State College in Grand Junction, Colorado, which is now Colorado Mesa University. The head of the math department was bringing in Sifu Herbert Mayer, who is still the sole representative in the United States of the Wang Q lineage of Wing Chun, which there used to be a huge presence in Canada of the Wang Q lineage, but that's kind of dwindled away. Besides Sifu Mayer, there's a group in Holland that keeps it going, but we'll get to that in a little bit. But that summer, I found a group in Longmont, Colorado, which I live now, that was 240 miles away, and I would commute once a week to come down and learn Pak Mei, White Eyebrow, Kung Fu. And so I started trying to just memorize as many systems, styles, teachers, how they were integrated. And it's amazing how much history and how much lore are fused together with different styles. But the other thing too is, I'm going to tell you guys something funny. I think another reason that I know so many different styles and systems is I might actually start a Japanese system this year, which besides judo, because I did a couple of years of judo in college, would be my first introduction to Japanese arts. I really find myself more as a martial artist than a Chinese Kung Fu practitioner, which I am first and foremost. My 3 styles that I have endeavored to not so much master, but just practice as well as I can is Wing Chun, which is my core. Xing Yi, which is the love of my life. I love Wing Chun and I always will respect her, but Xing Yi is the side girl that rolls up in like a Pontiac Trans Am, and she's got the top down in the car and she's got lipstick on and she's playing some death metal music and she's like, "Get in, honey. I'm buying dinner tonight." I'm like, "Yes, ma'am." That is how I feel about. Hot. Oh, she's gorgeous and she treats me right. That's what Xing Yi is to me. Cool. And Bagua, which I just started a couple years ago with my co-host, who's also my Xing Yi instructor, is something so challenging, not only on a physical scale, but on a mental scale of this complex mind process that you have to have, this complex body process that you have to have. And then you're trying to combine them. And I will tell you, I'm going to share something with you guys. I joke that the thing that I'm fighting these days is middle age and my job. I am a bus driver, a city bus. I've done city bus driving for 15 years and I'll be 46 this year. And so that is 15, 16 years of sitting under extreme stress because I don't have cargo in the back. I have lives. I have friends, family, mothers, grandmothers, children, you name it. And so I have the most precious cargo. And so there is stress and there is service that I have to give and a responsibility that I have. And your body will hold that stress. And I found that Bagua gets deeper into the tissues than any other art that I have, like realigning the spine, opening up the back, helping hip pressure, helping my knee joints. And so in all of its complexity, I think it's keeping me going. I am fighting the damage that my body does to me these days through my martial practice, through swinging Indian clubs, through swinging maces, through doing kettlebells and all these other things. And I'm passionate about knowing what these styles, these systems are, these methods, who the names are associated with them. So I think, I don't know. I guess it's something organic, but it's also trained to know the names, to know the styles, to know the systems, to know the terminology. It enriches the process of my practice. And it also helps me hopefully to enrich the process as a teacher to my students, to give them that material and that information. So thank you. Thank you for that question.
I'm curious. I mean, that obviously takes a lot of energy to continue. I'm curious, what fuels you? What keeps you going?
Curiosity. Curiosity. I think, when I was a young man, I did start, with the whole kick-ass, kind of thing. I think every young person, man or young lady out there should have a little bit of grit, fire, piss, and vinegar. But my Sifu Mayer, my Wing Chun Sifu, is a PhD in educational psychology and cognitive development. And I can send you the link to his grad paper. In my opinion, he has his PhD because of Wing Chun. He showed a group of a skill set and cognitive load and pressure. And that was his thesis. It's 154 pages and he has a PhD because of these patterns and these things in Wing Chun. So first and foremost, he continued Wong Q, who was his Sifu's work, my Qigong, in that Wing Chun is a thinking art and a problem-solving set of skills before it's even a fighting set. So one thing that keeps me curious is finding how these cultures develop these patterns, these methods, these systems, these styles, and they learned how to pass this on, not only on a cerebral scale, but on a physical scale, on an emotional scale, the emotional component. That's something that's interesting to me about Xingyi. Each of the animals our Xingyi animals don't necessarily look like the Shaolin animals, because a lot of the Shaolin animals look like the animal. But in Xingyi, it is the essence. It is the spirit of the animal that has to be harnessed and displayed. When you're doing horse, you are regal, you are royal, you are accurate, you are precise. When you're doing tiger, it is ferocity, it is fierce. When you're doing bear, it is big and lumbering, but it is powerful. And the other thing too that I think that keeps me going, fellas, besides curiosity, is I very much have yin-yang teachers. How Sifu Mayer teaches and how Owen teaches me is completely different. Sifu Mayer is very cerebral, but he's very practical. But he's very theory-based, tactical-based, principle-based methodology. Owen is the body. He's like, I'll give you an example. You're not doing real Xingyi unless you can do the full body power method that Xingyi produces in its gongs, in its stances, in its weapons. They all are similar to produce a unified whole body power delivery system. As a matter of fact, I've heard a lot of high level Xingyi instructors say the same thing that Owen and I have said on our show. If you're looking for basic self-defense, there are way better ways for basic self-defense than Xingyi, because if you don't have the power method, the applications really don't make a whole lot of sense. They're applications that live inside the method of that power and body generation. So one is the body, and it's not push-ups. It's not bench press. It's not squat. It's integrating this wrist into this elbow, into this shoulder, into the spine, into the waist, into the hip, into the knee, into the ankle. It's that song that we know as kids, the hip bone's connected to the knee bone, that kind of thing. And so all of this synergistically comes together to create this power dynamic that I think is really rare and unique in the world of martial arts. So that was a long-winded answer to say that curiosity keeps me going. Meeting new people from all different backgrounds of life. I've got a group coming up tomorrow that's going to be training with me in the kitchen kun, is what I call my little kitchen, because that's my kitchen space and I teach in. I also teach down at 5280 Shaolin. It's the group that's coming up tomorrow. I'm going to have a mother that's 55 and 5 foot tall. And I think my buddy Nick's coming down from Granby, who's 6'7" and a professional chef. And so seeing those two together is always Mutt and Jeff. But I have so many people from so many different walks of life that come into my life to train with me that I feed off of their energy. I feed off of their story. I feed off of their background. Because the thing that has all of us coming together is our martial practice and our martial journey. And I really believe that not only the martial practice and the martial journey is important, but their life journey too, because they have so much to contribute from their life. If we're learning martial arts to protect the ones that we love, their life and our life, then I want to know who and what am I protecting? Those questions are important to me.
I love it.
Great. Yeah.
You're on the path.
I'm giving it everything that I've got. One last thank you for you guys, and something so the audience knows who you guys are. 2020 was hard on all of us, and you guys were some of the folks, and it wasn't every day. It wasn't every week. It was every, a couple months and stuff like that, but I could reach out and one of you guys would respond to me and would talk to me for a while. And that's who I think you guys were. The business was, kind of in a couple years phases at that point. But you were willing to talk to a random stranger about martial arts because it's something that you adored, that you love, and you guys live. And you really, Budo Brothers is not just a brand and a logo and a thought and an idea, but you are living examples of what you wanted it to be. And so I can't say enough good things about you guys. Thank you for being on the show. I'm going to tag you guys, post when it's all out. I'll say goodbye. Is there anything last thing? And then when we stop recording, I'm going to steal you guys for 5 minutes and then I'll let you enjoy the rest of your Friday. So thank you again to the Budo Brothers.
Well, Randel, you've been in our corner since the very beginning, and we wouldn't be here without the support of amazing martial artists like you that help build up the community. And that's really what Budo Brothers is about, is building a community of like-minded martial artists that want to grow, that want to learn, that want to seek wisdom wherever it may be found. And that's such a beautiful thing for us to be in the fortunate position to be building. And it's not possible without awesome people like you. So thank you for your continual support.
And Randel, what's your favorite number?
Like 7-Eleven.
7-Eleven. So we'll make a promo code for your audience. It's going to be Randel 7-Eleven, and it'll be a 15% discount on everything in our store. If anybody wants to check out our products, we have 100% Budo Brothers guarantee. If they don't like it, they could return it, refund it, no questions asked. So just something for your community. We'd love to give them that gift of 15% off of anything in our store. But yes, thank you so much for having us on the pod and letting us talk more about martial arts.
Guys, thank you so much. We will tag and post you. We post on the Spotify and all the whatnot, and then we also have our YouTube page, which will that one. I'm gonna need some. When we do the YouTube one, I'm gonna need some glamour shots of you guys because that's our glamour shots episode. But thanks again, gentlemen. Stay on the line, guys. audience, check out the Budo Brothers.